Let's go to Todd Bensman. What is that picture of, sir? That photo on the cover of your book?
That is the Del Rio migrant camp crisis at its peak, September 2021. Great photo shot by Auden Cabello, who lives in Acuna, right across from there. That photo is significant to the book because there's a whole chapter about the crisis, but within the book also are revelations that crisis in Del Rio, Texas, led the Biden administration to make decisions that scuttled Haitians' democracy, Haiti democracy. This was a year before the midterms. Everybody was thinking already, how we're in the campaign season for the midterm elections 2022. This thing is just growing by leaps and bounds. Thousands more were on the way. They had to do something dramatic and deterring to liquidate that camp. What they came up with was deportation flights, ICE Air, putting thousands of them on flights back to Port-au-Prince, which is the most horrifying thing that any of these Haitians could contemplate because they had spent tens of thousands of dollars getting this far. They thought they were on the cusp of getting into the U.S., but the administration needed, in order to do deportation flights like Trump, you have to have permission from the receiving country. At that time, you had Dr. Ariel Henry as the provisional prime minister of Haiti. The former president had just been assassinated the month before, and there were big elections coming up where he might get swept out and somebody else might get put in for Haiti. They were going to have their first parliamentary elections, their first legit presidential elections in 2 months. But the Biden administration is worried about the 2022 elections, and they had to get rid of this camp right away. And that's what they did. The State Department scuttle Haiti's elections. Remember, this was going to be their very first elections, their first presidential in years and years. That was seen by the international community as the first necessary step to set Haiti up for stability, for real governance, for going forward. Instead, Biden administration needed that camp gone, so they scuttled Haiti's elections to get permission to deport them into Port-au-Prince. That's what happened. They killed those elections out 2 months beforehand. They deported a whole bunch of Haitians there. Everything was fine. And now we're seeing what happened as a result. Had they had those elections, had they elected a new president and a parliament, a lot of what we're seeing probably would not have happened at all. But the administration did do this. And I have that from his own envoy to Haiti in an interview in that book describing everything that happened. He was so angry about it that he resigned office ahead of these elections. He saw these elections getting scuttled for a short-term political gain for the administration, and he couldn't take it, and he quit. As a result, nobody told this story. I called him up and did a long interview with him, and he laid it all out for me. He goes, they came in and they just killed these elections that everybody had been working for years to finally get Haiti on track for a short-term political gain. I couldn't take it. I quit. Late 2022, the New York Post excerpted my book and put it on the cover about this whole episode that Biden was setting Haiti up for what we're seeing right now by scuttling all of its planned elections that they needed to have for any chance at stability. And they never got those elections to this day. And now the guy that they installed as the de facto dictator is out running. I mean, he's been deposed. And you have post-apocalyptic gangs, running the country. They're not really even running the country. It's just gangs occupying and raping and marauding. So it's failed. And I think it's because of what Joe Biden did in Del Rio, Texas. The administration has always kind of had it out for Haitians after that camp. The administration created 2 parole programs When I say parole, I mean you're supposed to, the INA says you can let 2 or 3 in a year or something on a case-by-case basis, but they expanded this to just encompass hundreds of thousands of people all at once, including Haitians. You could apply on an app or have somebody in the U.S. apply for you, and then you input your information on the app, and it's managed. And then you can cross over a land port with permission, or you can get authorization to be flown in, to fly in, and at least 140,000 Haitians have flown in under that program. They just don't want them crossing in illegally over the bridge, and that's what it is. And so, yes, one of the Haitians has now been charged with aggravated sexual assault, raping a female minor, a child, in a migrant hotel in Massachusetts, Rockland, Massachusetts. His name is Corey Alvarez. He's pleaded not guilty, but the administration is assuring all of us about this flights program that I've just been reporting about at length, that don't worry, everybody is vetted for criminal history. They're all clean. Everybody's great. Don't worry about it. But who can say that you can ask the Haitian government to give us a criminal intelligence feed or criminal history on anybody there? The answer is no, they can't. It's a pre-modern failed state. Now it's a failed state. It was always a failing state. So most of those hundreds of thousands are not really vetted, and neither are the Venezuelans that they're flying in, or the Cubans, or the Nicaraguans, or anybody else from Central America and Ecuador. They're just not able to do that. And now we have an alleged rape in Massachusetts, and I venture to say that he didn't. If he did this, it wasn't the first time. He probably, rapists don't just do it the first time and get caught. I'm going to bet that there just simply was no criminal history to check, and they flew him right in, and probably others. And one other thing about they're not telling us the names of the departure airports or the arrival airports, but the Fox News report told us that he was able to fly from Port-au-Prince, right out of Haiti, directly to JFK. You hear that, New York? New York. That he flew into New York and then moved to Boston, and they're probably flying him into Logan as well. But Biden does next matters with this flotilla. Remember, the migrant camp under the Del Rio Bridge, how they reacted against that. Well, they're looking at this the same way in a presidential year. Flotillas, those are, international cameras just are in love with that optic, just looking for that. So if the administration lets them all hit in the Florida Keys, he's going to have a big election problem. And so I think what's shaping up is that they're going to divert them over to Guantanamo Bay for eventual quote unquote repatriation. They're saying they'll be subject to repatriation. They're not saying we're going to repatriate them back to Haiti, that they face repatriation. Those are very important wriggle room words, escape hatch words. I won't be surprised if they end up at Guantanamo Bay and that the administration arranges a private way for them to get into the U.S., a less visible way, which are those flights programs that I'm telling you about right now. They can put them on flights for parole into the United States, and nobody's the wiser. You can't see this. They won't tell us the airport. You can't tell a Haitian coming from Guantanamo Bay from anybody else. And I want to point out one other thing that's a problem with that. While that might get rid of the optics, the very first boats, these are sailboats, appear to be filled with gang members. A boat that was caught just the other day was like filled with drugs and weapons and bad guys. They just freed hundreds and hundreds, thousands of prisoners from Haitian prisons. Anybody who's got resources, who've been stealing stuff and, pillaging, has resources to get passage on these boats. And since we can't vet them for security at Guantanamo or anywhere else, and we're going to fly them into the U.S., that's something to watch too. We could have more rapists coming in or worse coming in these if they're the first ones on those boats. The book is available anywhere books are sold. Barnes and Noble, at your local bookstore. Just look it up and order it. There's an audio version too. The story of what I'm talking about here is now come to fruition. I mean, everything that is in the book was kind of predicting that there would be a collapse because they voided these elections. I don't think this would be happening if they had it. Now, Haiti had lots of problems systemically before this, but this is catalytic what they did in 2021. You can follow me at toddbensman.com. I'm rewriting a piece about this for Claremont for the American Mind magazine. They should have that up in a few days.